Whoa. Hi guys. Why would you even put that at the end of the book? Like, it was so good. Funny what he's doing with her. Anyways, that twist that took place at the end of this book was actually wow, that's beautiful. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about my top books of 2025. So in 2025 I actually read 32 books so far, and I hope to add at least maybe two more to that, maybe at least one more. I'm currently reading Cruel Prince, and I did start Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. The only reason I'm really reading this book is for my AP Lit class, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to read a classic, so why not? So I picked up Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and so far so good. I'm only like a couple pages into it, but I'm gonna read this over the break, so maybe I might get this in. And I'm also looking forward to reading Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I just got this recently in hardcover. I started it on my Kindle, but I feel like it wasn't the right time to start it, so instead, I'm gonna wait and read it in the physical copy because lately I've been reading a lot on my Kindle, so I'm really craving the physical copy of book. Okay, so my reading goal of the year was actually 30 books, and I exceeded that, and I'm so proud of myself, and I'm so happy about it because that means I can read more than what I actually think I can. But this year was actually busy, and I hit one of my biggest reading slumps ever. So I feel like if I didn't hit that reading slump, I could have got more books. But hey, it happened. We gotta move on. So I have my Kindle here and all my physical copies of my top books. And as you can see, Powerless Astrology is on here because, of course, why would that not be one of my top books? So let's get started. Okay, the first book I'm going to be talking about today is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I loved this series. I loved this book. It was one of my favorites ever. I'm just so happy that I picked it up and I read it because it was so good. It's a fantasy romance, and I love the romance aspect of this book. It was amazing. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I highly recommend this book. Lauren Roberts, I think this was her debut novel, and she killed it out of the ballpark. It was amazing, and I cannot recommend this enough. I literally recommended this to one of my teammates who also reads, and I just can't wait for her to read it. It is so amazing, and I would not recommend. Like, literally, I even highlighted some stuff in this book. I didn't fully highlight it. Honestly, I think I don't want to highlight it because I just don't want to ruin the beauty of this book. And it's just, I think I read this back in May, and I was blushing. Have to put down the book for a little bit. Like, Kai Azer, the man he is, like, it's like Lauren Roberts wrote Kai Azer so well, and I just love the little lines he would tell to Peyton, and it was just so sweet and so cute and just so very like, okay, like, it was hot. Let me see if I can find something I did highlight because I know I did. She's so stunning, yet so stubbornly oblivious to how the sunset behind dulls in comparison to the vibrance that is her. I wish a guy talked like that about me. My eyes snap to his gray ones already pinned on me. I am playing a very dangerous game, walking on a sharp blade and hoping I don't get cut, playing with fire and hoping I don't get burned, swimming in a dangerous current and hoping I don't drown. I just love everything about this book. I love everything about this couple. I love everything about Powerless. I've reviewed this book on my channel before, but just in short, to give you guys a summary, fantasy romance book about Peyton Gray, who is an ordinary because she has no powers, and she has to hide that fact. If not, she's going to be banished or killed by the king of Ilia, because the king of Ilia does not like ordinaries, and there was a purging, and the purging is literally when they killed and banished a bunch of ordinaries to the surrounding cities, islands, places. And so basically, Peyton, she was an orphan from then on, and she was living on the city streets, and she had to get by stealing food and stealing fabric for Adina because Adina was a seamstress, and that's how they kind of, I think, like, that's how they made each other. That's how Adina made clothes for Peyton, made clothes for herself. I think they even sold it and everything. And on one random day, the enforcer, which is Kai, comes into the city of Loot and bumps into Peyton, and they have a little interaction. But later on, and then they like split ways. But then later on, Kai is literally being killed by Silencer, which is basically crippling his abilities to use his own power to fight off the Silencer. And Peyton comes in and faces that and finds herself in the purging trials, which is basically a bunch of games put on by the king to where he puts a bunch of elites to showcase their abilities and see how strong they are, and it's basically a way to show off. But Peyton finds herself in these trials, and she has no ability, she fakes it. So basically it's the whole book of Peyton through the trials trying to survive, and her sparking a little romance with Kai Azer, the enforcer. Moving on to my next book, that is one of my top books of 2025, which is Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. Basically, who you follow in Reckless is still Peyton and Kai, But what happens in this book at the end of it carries on into this book. So basically what happens in Reckless is you follow Peyton and Kai as on their journey, which it's a little, I don't want to spoil this book to kind of like sugarcoat it or to like talk discreetly here. Kai has to track down Peyton and Peyton is running away from Kai. That's really all I can say. And you see them still having feelings for each other, but also trying to fight those feelings for each other because they know they shouldn't like each other. But yet they still do. They still make their decisions based off their feelings for one another, and they still do things that they shouldn't be doing. But Kai and Peyton, you know how they are. So basically, that's what happens in Reckless. But I literally love this book so much. This book is what got me into my reading slump because I read like a bunch of books in the beginning of the year, and then after I read Reckless, I could not pick up another book. I literally picked up Fearless for a little bit and I could not even continue it because I was just not having that motivation. I think Reckless was just that good. Like honestly, like this book had me frustrated at the end, so mad at Lauren because why would you even put that at the end of the book? Like I the plot twist that took place at the end of this book was actually insane. Like that literally wanted me to start Fearless. But like, oh my gosh, it's literally insane. Like I can't it like just I full on have my reaction of the end of this book. I'll literally insert it again. Moving on. I actually ended up reading the powerful novella, which is the little novella that came out, I think, after Reckless, which is still part of the Powerless trilogy. And I read it on my Kindle, and it followed Adina and her love interest, which was Mac, who you are going to be introduced to in Fearless. Adina's story. Okay, so basically, Powerful is a little. It's like 100 and something pages long, but it basically follows Adina from her life from when she met Peyton to also up until, how do I put this? Up until Powerless. The end of Powerless, let's just say. Up until the end of Powerless, that's Adina's story. So it's 100 and something pages following Adina and Mac up until the end of Powerless, basically from their point of view. It was such a beautiful, quick, and easy read. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad that Lauren gave us that perspective of Adina because Adina is such a loved side character in this series, and she holds a special place in my heart also because I see a lot of myself in Adina, just basically in how she is. She's so bubbly, she's so sweet, she's so vibrant, and I love Adina for that. And I kind of see myself in her. One of my teammates from my club soccer team, she read Powerless. She read the whole Powerless series already, and she told me, read Powerful before you read Fearless. You're going to need to know information from Powerful that you're going to have to know for to read Fearless. So I did that, and then I read Fearless. Fearless, 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 Fearless. I actually recently read this book like 2 months ago. I really enjoyed this book. This book was insane. It's my second longest book I've ever read. It's like 500 and something pages long. As you can see, it's thick. But basically, to sum up this book, coming off from the plot twist at the end of Reckless, you get into Fearless. It involves Kit, Kai, and Peyton. And as you know, Peyton and Kit are not on good terms. Funny what he's doing with her. Anyways, Kit and Peyton are not on good terms. Kai and Peyton are on good terms because of information you're going to learn at the end of Reckless. And pretty much Fearless consists of Peyton trying to repair her relationship with Kit because she still loves Kit dearly, even though she's not choosing him. If that's going to make sense if you read this series. I'm sorry, I have to talk really discreetly if I don't want to say any spoiler. The plot twist in this book at the end was actually insane. This book had me crying at the end. I literally was freaking out. I was in the living room reading this book with my parents both in there, and of course they see me reading a book and freaking out. They're like, okay, this is normal. Like, she freaks out over these things. But I was actually like screaming. I was like, no, 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 no. I was like gasping. I was crying. I had to take a break, put the book down, go upstairs, sob in my sister's arms because I was literally bawling my eyes out at the one part in this, and then later realized that I didn't need to because lo and behold, of course, Lauren Roberts does a full plot twist. And also, people you meet in Powerful, like it like crazy what happens to them in this book, and it's just Lauren, why? Like, this book was a bunch of ups and downs, and I loved it so much. It was a crazy read. I was reading this in class one time. This was like a couple months ago. I was reading this in class, and let's just say I don't recommend reading this in class because I was literally having physical reactions to this book. My friend next to me, she was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" Because whatever I was reading in class, what was happening, like, I shouldn't have been reading in class. I literally had to like take stop reading at one point because I just couldn't. I had to. If not, my classmates would be concerned. I think the classmates next to me were like, "What the heck is this girl doing?" Like, they know I like to read, so it's like, I guess, normal. I have yet to read Fearful, which is another novella that came out after Fearless. But I just literally wanted to do an honorable mention of this series because this series changed my life. I am so glad that I read this book. I actually recommended this series to one of my friends, and I'm just so excited. I just can't believe that it's over now. I just have fearful to read. I just can't believe it's like already gonna be done because like I just want more of Kai and Peyton. I want more stories. I just can't believe that it's over. It's like people came into your life, made it better, and now they just leave. Wait, that's actually kind of sad. Moving on from that so I don't like break into tears. I'm joking. Next honorable mention is A Thousand Broken Pieces by Tillie Cole. I read A Thousand Boy Kisses actually a couple years ago over Christmas break around the same time. It was Christmas break and I was reading A Thousand Boy Kisses at my grandparents' house, and I that was literally one of my favorite books I've ever read in my entire life. It was so beautiful. But when we find out about Poppy and what's been burdening her, it's just like from then on, I don't know how to explain it, but just the way Tillie Cole wrote this book, the beautiful story behind it, and I just applause to her. And so when I found out that she made a like another story, kind of coming off of Poppy and Room, it's actually about Poppy's little sister and her love interest. I knew I needed to read this. I picked a time. I think I read this over the summer. I picked a time where I had the time to read this. So I read this I think over the summer, this past summer. Wow. I said like the same words over and over again. A Thousand Broken Pieces by Tillie Cole um was one of my top books. It stands out. I think it was a 5-star read for me. It was actually insane. Let me read you guys some quotes. This basically it's about Savannah moving on, like handling her grief after losing her sister. She lost her sister, which like she had spent like I think 9, maybe 10, I don't know, 13 years maybe with her sister, so it affected her hard. So of course, moving on with grief, it's never easy. The way Tillie Cole portrayed grief in this and how moving on from grief is so hard and how what it can do to someone, I think was written beautifully and told very well. But basically Savannah is trying to cope. She gets sent on this trip with a bunch of other people who are handling grief and handling their own problems. And so this is kind of like a retreat to kind of help them heal, help them to learn how to deal with what they're going through, helping them process what's going on in their minds, in their heads, in their lives. So that's basically what happens in the book. I don't know if that was a good explanation at all, but during this trip Savannah meets Kale. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Basically they find each other and they're trying to navigate, trying to help each other and trying to heal together, even though it's probably taking one a lot longer than the other to deal with what they went through. But I just really enjoyed this book. The quotes in this book are actually life changing and insane, and they literally made me want to cry. I think I did cry during this book. Of course, like if you're an emotional person, you're gonna cry during this book, and I am a very emotional person, so I did cry during this book, and it was so sad. First of all, like this whole book was so sad, but there were some beautiful moments because in grief, you can still experience beautiful things, even though you probably don't feel joyful or anything. But let me read you guys some quotes. I just need to. I don't think these are spoilers. But if life had taught me anything, it's that it can change on a dime. It can. Oh my gosh, I thought this was beautiful. I can live in the darkness if you are one of the stars. Okay, so this is kind of like two things. I feel like they go together though. Some things should never be pushed away when they are ready to be shared. But sometimes we keep things to ourselves so soul destroying that they can tear us apart inside. Life lessons with Tilly Cole. there's just still so many quotes. I highlighted this book, I think, a bunch. The beginning, just like a trigger warning. The first, I think it's the prologue. I think the prologue of this book is literally someone dying. So the prologue is literally basically what happened, re-explaining what happened in A Thousand Boy Kisses, but I think in more detail and from Savannah's point of view. So trigger warning, death. Dang, I forgot how good that book is. I really enjoyed this book. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonam-Young, and this was and this book I read on my Kindle, and it was an accidental pregnancy, and it was one of my favorite books ever. Anyways, it follows Winifred, who had a one night stand with this guy at a Halloween, her best friend's Halloween party, and that one night stand, they kind of okay. So before they did what they did, they got to talking, and Bo and the guy we're following is Bo. Bo has a prosthetic leg, and that's very significant here because Winifred has also like a arm disability type thing where she has something with her arm. And so basically to go along with her little disability type thing, I don't want to call it a disability, but to go along with, she was a pirate for this Halloween party, and she had the hook on that arm that she has this thing. And Bo had a prosthetic leg, and I forgot what he was dressed up as. I read this book so long ago, but I still think about it to this day. But basically they kind of bonded over that, and they kind of like talked about that, and so they kind of get going on that, and then they, after that, they don't see each other again until, well, Win finds out she's pregnant, and boom, she has to get in contact with Bo. Bo comes in. Bro, he was a literal, I would want this guy to be the father of my children, because the way he stepped up, the way he found out she was pregnant, and he was like, okay, well, do you want to move in with me? Do you need anything? Do you want me to go with you to your doctor's appointments? Like, he was literally a man. Like, if he knew God, he would be the man of God. Like, do you ever like see people where you're like, oh my gosh, they have so much potential if they knew Jesus? Like, this is the so much potential if you knew Jesus. So basically, you navigate this pregnancy with Win, which it's the whole pregnancy. Like, I actually really appreciate that we get the whole pregnancy, not just when the baby comes. You get the whole pregnancy. You get their whole developing of their relationship. And then you finally get the happily ever after. This book was spicy though. I'm not a girl for spice. But that's one thing I would give like trigger warning to, and that's one thing like fair warning, like it has spice, like you're gonna have to skip over some stuff. But overall, excluding the spice, it was a really great book and I really enjoyed it. And now, just one honorable mention I do want to do is The Kite Runner that I read actually for a school. I had to read The Kite Runner going in over the summer for my AP Lit homework. We have summer homework. I had to write an essay on it and doing a whole assignment on it. That book, I had to read it during at the end of my reading slump. So it was kind of hard, but I had to read it on a PDF because I did not buy the physical copy, nor did I get the copy that he offered in class before we left for summer break. So I read it on my phone on a PDF. But I'm not complaining because that book was actually really good. Like The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini was actually okay. So basically, it takes place in Afghanistan and California. You kind of go back and forth between the two. The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini follows Amir from childhood to adulthood, and his loyal friend Hassan, which was kind of like it was. Hassan was the son of his father's friend, who his father's friend was also the caretaker of their house and of them, of Amir and his dad, which we call Baba because that's what he called his dad. Basically, we follow the friendship of Amir and Hassan, and Amir did something. Well, okay, it's basically what he didn't do. Hassan went through something very traumatic. He was at one event that him and Amir were doing, and Amir saw it happen, but he did not acknowledge it. He did not ask for help. He did not tell anybody about what he witnessed Hassan. And Hassan act like it never happened. He came back from when it happened and pretty much acted like it didn't. You can definitely tell his physical features. He was definitely affected by something. And after Amir witnessed Hassan's, you could see a shift in their friendship. Amir starts purposefully getting Hassan in trouble and blaming things on him, and yet Hassan continues to stay loyal and love Amir. And Hassan is trying to repair that friendship that they once had before he got assaulted, but Amir's just not letting that happen. So eventually Hassan and his dad leave. That causes Amir's dad to like kind of like be a little sad because that was literally his best friend. And that what happened as a child kind of set the scene, set the tone for the rest of Amir's adult life. But it's a really, really good book. Like, I did not expect a school book to be this good. But this is like one school book that I genuinely enjoyed. Like, I know I was kind of forced to read it, but like, whoa. 10 out of 10 recommend The Kite Runner. I feel like you can learn a lot from that book, and there's definitely a lesson in that, especially being an AP Lit kid. You kind of have to analyze these stories and the deeper meanings behind it. And just the meanings that you find in this book are kind of like they reflect in real life situations, maybe just not their similar situation, but maybe in different situations that you find yourself or you see others in, or that you may read about or see in your own life. And so it's basically pretty much like you can definitely get something from this book, and I highly recommend. And that's just my little honorable mention, The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Let me know down in the comments if you read that book, if you want to read a book, if you plan on reading any of these books that I mentioned. But that is my top books of 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I did not ramble too much. I hope I actually praised these books well enough. I hope you guys do check these books out because I really highly 10 out of 10 recommend these books. 10 out of 10, not just 5 out of 5. Also, Powerless Trilogy is a very popular book talk series, and I think it is definitely worth the hype. It needs more hype. I really love this book, this series, and I definitely recommend reading the second book of A Thousand Boy Kisses. If you've not already read these two books, I 10 out of 10 recommend them. Don't let the long chapters fool you. You could literally finish this in very quickly. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching. Love you guys. See you guys in the next one.